You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Billy Gill is in the Major League playoffs.
Yeah.
Look at him, victorious.
Yes. Way to go, Billy.
We did it.
He is scared to believe.
Me and Jess, we did it.
Jessica is wearing her Marlins gear, multiple Marlins memorabilia bits. Roy, look at the joy on Roy's face over there as he wears his Marlins gear. I am scared of the Phillies.
Oh, shush.
Oh, will you knock it off?
Already? We're starting with this?
What are you doing?
What's wrong with you?
The Phillies,
Just in general.
The Phillies are better than the Marlins. That means nothing in a 3-game series on the road. I want to know how you felt this weekend. The Cubs spit it up. Arizona spit it up. Gets in anyway.
You know what the Marlins did, though? Some teams did spit it up. The Marlins went and got it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Stugotz,
Yeah.
they won. They beat the Mets up, and they beat the Pirates up, and they absolutely did deserve it the last week of the season. They played better than the other teams that were competing for that spot, even though they were against lesser teams. Billy was outraged.
Whoa. What am I outraged about? There's a lot going on in my head.
You're outraged by the TARP and the Mets. Are you aware that TARP game goes into the records forever as a Mets 1-0 victory?
Yeah, I was wondering what the resolution on that was finally. So did they finally do that stupid rule where they go back an inning and they just give it to the Mets should be forced to forfeit that game. That was an absurdity. They were going to lose that game. The fact that they're going to get a W there is ridiculous.
But tell people what happened, because it was clear the grounds crew, gamesmanship, cheating, they were trying to bother the Marlins, make the Marlins play more games, play double headers. Like, it was just obvious that they were taking photos in the outfield instead of, like, putting the tarp on the field. Skip Schumacher runs out there and tries to help them put the tarp on the field physically himself.
Correct. So the Mets, we have to rewind a little bit. So last weekend, not this one that just passed, the one before that, there was a tropical storm in New York. And what happened was the field got completely covered in water, but they didn't have a tarp on the field during a tropical storm for some reason. I don't know. And then they put the tarp on the field after there was just sitting water, and then the field became unplayable. So they then had to cancel that game and move it to the next game. They forced the Marlins to play a doubleheader. So they now had to play 6 games in 5 days instead of the regular schedule that they had. So that was shenanigans number 1 by the Mets grounds crew. And then the Marlins overcome that. They split a doubleheader, whatever. We fast forward to the last game of the Mets series, and there's a stupid review that goes on way longer than it has to. They should have just started that game earlier. They know that inclement weather's in the area, that it's going to come down really hard once it starts, and they're not going to be able to finish this game. But they do everything to drag their feet and make sure that this takes as long as possible. The Marlins are looking like they're going to lose that game. Then they rally in the ninth. They come back. They take the lead. The Marlins are still batting now. They've scored 2 runs. They take a 2-run lead. They're still batting. And they go into a rain delay.
You know, the funniest thing about that 1-0 win that they're going to have is it hurts them in the draft lottery.
I don't think I think that game, I'm looking at the standings right now, I think that game just remains incomplete.
No.
I bet the Marlins.
No, it's 1-0 now.
Well, listen.
I'm looking at it has not been updated in the
because
standings.
on Monday,
2-1,
when they don't play the game, it will be updated to a Mets 1-0 victory. Even though the Marlins in the top of the ninth were leading 2-1, and it doesn't matter. The Marlins won't show up for the game and will lose 1-0 by forfeit.
It matters if you had the Marlins. I mean, show up for the game. Let's go. Get the final 3 outs.
To Roy's point, it actually is going to hurt the Mets in the draft, because what happens is the Mets pass a certain threshold in what their salary was. So now if they're inside of the top 6, it's protected, because they now are going to finish 7th if that ends up being the case. Their pick is going to drop back like 10 spots.
That's funny.
So in winning that game with their shenanigans,
I mean, that's funny.
They're now losing 10 spots in the draft.
It's karma.
The Marlins don't need to play the game. How excited are you, though, Billy? Because the Phillies are very good, but the Marlins deserve to be there, earned it, as Stugotz said, the last week of the season. They're a little bit broken. I would love to see them at a little more.
The Marlins are a lot
strength.
bit broken right now. In fact, we're at the stage, and I was doing this privately, and I shouldn't be saying this publicly, but we're here now amongst friends, so I feel comfortable doing this. I feel like maybe Sandy could start doing that Chris Bosh thing where we just start looking for any doctor that says, okay, you can play. Is that reckless? Like, just start looking around and looking for anyone that's like, yeah, you're good.
Chris Bosh doing it was vastly more dangerous, given that we were talking about him possibly not just merely
But this is a playoff
re-injuring
stand.
himself.
I mean, this is a
the
playoff. This
postseason,
is a different
right.
thing. He was doing that for regular season games after they won rings. This is stakes are higher here.
I understand.
Sure, his life was on the line, but let's be real, stakes
This
are
is the
higher here.
postseason.
Exactly right.
Well, Sandy's not coming back. And how do you feel about your general rotation going up against a team that has Kyle Schwarber hitting leadoff with fewer singles than he has home runs this season?
I feel like that's a crazy stat. That's an insane stat.
He's hitting
Baseball's
like
ridiculous.
He's hitting like 180. But when he gets a hold of it, he did this to Cueto when they were playing in
Well,
Philadelphia.
everyone
Everyone
does.
does.
Cueto. Come on. I mean, enough. If that guy sniffs the field, we're going to have problems.
Really jumped down his throat on that.
Yeah, jeez.
Cueto.
I feel like the Marlins rotation is fine for a best of 3. I do wonder in let's keep going. No, we're not just going to be the last. We're going to be the 5 seed instead of the 6 seed, and then our reward is the Braves. If we win the first round, we get to play the Braves instead of the Dodgers, which I'm for some reason more confident against the Dodgers than the Braves, which is an insane sentence. But I'm like,
it's not for some reason though. You were 19-4 over the last, or 4-19 the last couple of seasons against the Braves. They've dragged you. But listen to this stat.
well, we
Stugotz.
swept them the last 3.
That's
so
true.
In your face, Atlanta.
OptaStats on X. The Braves finished with the outright major league leaders, Stugotz, in runs, hits, home runs, RBI, stolen bases, total bases, wins for a pitcher, strikeouts for a pitcher. That's 8 categories. No one's ever led in 5 since they started tracking this stuff in the 1920s. The Braves led all of baseball, not the league, led baseball.
Do it in October. Yeah. Do all that in October.
Right.
I'm not so convinced with the Braves' health either, by the way. I'm going to tell you. I'm a little worried about their pitching. When their pitchers are in the dugout and they're comparing injuries to their fingers and blisters, that's not a good thing if you're a Braves fan. You don't want to see that.
Jessica, what is your level of enthusiasm? Will you be watching?
Marlins, woo!
Can I, by the way,
There it is.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, and I feel like Jess is going to be on the same page as me
Go
here.
Fins.
I don't know why I'm standing, but I don't want to sound ungrateful.
You're excited, that's why.
But, can we play a little earlier? Thanks for making the Marlins the primetime 8 o'clock game on ESPN. Would a 4 o'clock in the afternoon game kill us? Can it be a little bit earlier? I mean, why are we playing in the Central Time Zone? There's teams in the Central Time Zone playing. Why don't they play at 8 o'clock?
I hate it, Billy. It's so late.
It's so late.
So past my bedtime. I'm a little worried that the Marlins are going to follow in the footsteps of all the other Miami sporting teams and lose in the World Series, though.
Yeah, same.
How do we feel about that?
I have to correct you. Remember, Inter Miami broke that streak by winning a totally made-up tournament.
Can I just look? I don't want to make this an Inter Miami thing, but I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know why I'm now holding the microphone with 2 hands, like if I'm
And
singing at a
standing
concert.
up.
You're
and
excited.
And
Because
what is
Marlins
that, what's that
postseason.
hanging? What is that hanging
What's the
from
deal with Inter
microphone?
Miami? Anyway, so this is what I was thinking about Inter Miami. All right, if you follow me on this one as I just walk around. This is the thing I don't understand about Inter Miami. You were telling us about these cups and how they're not made up. And then they're in a championship cup and Messi just doesn't play. So how can we buy that these cups are legitimate if the championship game the star just isn't going to play?
I have to explain injuries now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Want it more.
Yeah.
Want it more, Messi.
Yeah,
Jeez.
He's hurt.
Well, why do they play him in garbage time? I don't understand that either.
Well, because he's hurt. He can't play anytime.
No,
right
but they
now.
play him in garbage time in some of these games, keeping him out there. Risk
It
of
was
injury.
World Cup time. Would he be playing?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally.
No, he's hurt.
Finally.
Just wondering.
He'd be playing in the World Cup.
He missed a couple.
If the Ballon d'Or was on the line, he'd be playing. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah,
If I know
the
anything about
balloon.
soccer, I know that.
He's
Ballon
hurt.
d'Or. Anyway.
What are you doing, Billy? Is this Marlins playoffs, Billy? What are you doing? You're swaggering. You're
I'm just
You're
comfortable, you know what I
swaggering
mean?
with your shoulders. But since when are you comfortable in your own skin?
Never.
When did that happen?
Well, I mean, I could be uncomfortable. I'll just sit back down here.
No, you can wander around. I'm finding it odd.
His confidence?
That yes, your confidence is through the roof all of a sudden because you live a scared life, a risk-averse life. You were scared to believe in the Marlins.
No. Hold on. The chair's coming back up. No. I will point out that everybody here wrote off this team, and I came in and I said, guys, it's looking bleak. If that's true. Jess didn't write it. Lucy was not on the record saying anything.
I
about
said
the
they were
Marlins.
done when they fell to 500 and when they gave up they were 10 games over
Below
500 at the
500.
break.
Yeah.
That's when I said they were done.
Yeah, but they fought back, Dan. This team's a bunch of fighters. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're doing either. Why are you whispering?
Weird,
Why
yeah.
are you are swaggering with
I
your
don't know how to
shoulders,
act.
but your
I feel
lower
like a
body
child
seems
that's-
like it's jelly? Is that what it is? You don't know how to be a winner? Is that what the problem is?
That's exactly what it is. My whole life, I've been a loser in every aspect. I don't know what it's like to have these good things happening to me.
I need to explain. Look, because for wherever Mike Ryan's allegiances lie locally to sports teams, where David Sampson legitimately breaks his heart.
He can shut the hell up this week. I don't want to hear from him.
Billy doesn't want
won't.
David Sampson around here just because of what he did to the Marlins. Billy loves this baseball team, and not only loves this baseball team, this is the important part, because I don't think even Roy loves them from here. Major League Baseball gets to South Florida. Billy's a kid. He's a child who doesn't care about sports. Not the child that stands before you today dressed like a child. An actual child. And that team introduced you to sports, did it not? That's the first team you cared about, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you haven't cared about any team like that since, have you?
Falsehoods. I've cared about teams. I care from time to time. I care about the Panthers occasionally, every once in a while. I was a big Ice Cat fan this past year. You know me, I love the Heat. As fans, on the other hand, that's a whole nother story. How about that situation, huh? Drew Holiday.
We'll get to that in a second. I've got some information
great.
for you guys.
Pause
on that
up, Dan,
one.
by the way. Big FIU guy. Everybody knows that.
By the way, he's not dressed like a child. I don't dress like a child.
Oh, Roy's dressed like a child.
Thank you, Roy. You have not cared about this team that way.
Wow.
You have not. Billy, I would say that Billy's
You're so right, though. Roy doesn't care about the Marlins the way me and Billy do.
That's true.
Right.
Look at Jess. She has a Hawaiian shirt.
Day one.
What are you going to do?
Not like I went to 12 games this season.
Fake fan.
12. You have the exact number?
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that Billy's fandom, the biggest fandoms we have anywhere around here, because Stugotz has aged out on some of this stuff. It might have been the Jets once upon a time. How Roy cares about the Panthers, how Mike cares about the University of Miami, how Lucy cares about Iowa.
I don't care about them anymore.
How Jessica cares about 9 different teams. And then there's Billy.
Including the Marlins.
Including the Marlins. And then there's
It was
Billy.
a rough weekend, though, Dan, because he's also a Pirates fan and she's a Cubs fan. So
Tough weekend
Mixed
for my
feelings.
Cubs.
Yeah, but Notre Dame. I mean,
But my Irish. Don't talk to me about my Bears or my Steelers, though.
Before we get to the Dolphins getting dragged in Buffalo, and before we get to the latest on the Lillard stuff and Drew Holiday stuff, Billy, I want you to show the audience where your fandom lies with this team. How old were you the first time you went to a Major League Baseball game?
I was... now I have to do math, Dan. I was 5 the first time I went to a Major League Baseball game. The first Major League Baseball game in Florida. Thank you very much.
What kind of posters did you have on your wall growing
Oh,
up?
I had my Benito Santiago "Thou shalt not steal" poster, and it was a thing because that's also a
great.
10 commandment. But it's also him. He did this thing, Dan, where he would throw people out from his knees. But in this poster, he was not on his knees. He was like that, ready to throw someone out with his backward steel baseball cap. He was number 09. Lucy, you know why he was number 09?
No, why?
He was normally number 9, but he wore 09, allegedly, from what I remember from my childhood, and I don't know if it's real or not, is because the strap on the back of his catcher's equipment bothered him when it went over the numbers, so he liked the number 9. But he went 09, so the strap would go in between the 2 numbers, Dan. Thou shalt not steal. And then I went and I got him to sign it. I think it was at Sawgrass Mills Mall, and it was on my wall, autographed. But it was in a cheap frame, and then it fell because I was so into wrestling at the time. So sometimes, you know, you jump up and you hit the wall, or you jump on your bed, then the thing would fall. It got messed up in a move. So if there's anyone out there who knows Benito Santiago and has access to one of those posters, hashtag send us stuff. I'd love that poster signed by Benito Santiago. Again, I'll put it up somewhere.
I can't believe the length of this Jessica yawn.
I also, Dan, had I had an Orestes Destrada growth chart on my wall. And it told me how tall I was, Orestes Destrada. But the thing about growth
that
charts...
was a giveaway? I mean,
yeah, it was a giveaway. It was
really?
tall. He was a
Yeah.
tall man. It was like 6 foot plus, I think, the growth chart. Here's the thing about growth charts, guys, and tell me if you feel me on this one. It starts at 0, right? But there's very few places that you can actually put the growth chart on the floor. So you have to cut off like 2 or 3 inches depending on the baseboard or the situation. Yeah. So what ends up happening is these growth charts, if they were accurate, you're just cut the people's feet off because you're starting at their shins, you know? But we're not here to talk about the growth charts today, Dan.
I am now, Stugotz, doing something I haven't done in a very long time because I miss the texters and the callers and the interactions. I right now am watching while doing this the thing you never want to do with your life under any circumstance. Spend some time in the YouTube comments.
I was worried about this.
I'm there. No, but I'm there right now.
When you called me and you said, show me how to follow the comments on YouTube, I was like, I don't know about this one.
What I am getting right now is that's it. Too much baseball on a Monday. I'm out from D. Murph, who just missed that because he's out, because he's done with baseball, because he wants his football, he wants his Miami Heat. But I wish to celebrate for a moment that there will be, locally, one team playing in the playoffs this week. Only one. And it is Billy's team that has broken his heart again and again since he was a 5-year-old boy.
In fairness, there's only one sport in the playoffs at the moment. So
yes, that's the only possibility.
A second yawn from Jessica. Please tell me, video people, that you have an isolated camera. I've never seen someone yawn that long before. She is tired from having Marlins fever.
That's the thing. It's been a long weekend for Marlins fans. She's exhausted. She was probably out. I don't know if you saw Billy, the Marlins at La Carreta celebrating the other night. She was probably out there with Billy. There was watch parties at Flanagan's. Like, there's a lot going on, Dan. It's a tiring time if you're a Marlins fan.
Okay, but you're going to do a watch party on one of these games, are you not?
Yes, pending my wife's approval. Yeah.
Okay, we are all waiting.
The target is Wednesday night. This is my thought process because tomorrow's the first game, and there's watch parties at Lone Depot Park, I believe. So if you want to go watch it with the fans, you can go to Lone Depot Park, I'm pretty sure. So here's the thing. I figured Game 2 is a safe game because it's an elimination game in a best-of-3 one way or another. If the Marlins win Game 1, they could advance in Game 2. If they lose Game 1, they could be eliminated in Game 2. And I feel like as much as people may want to see me happy, they probably much more want to see me sad. So Game 2 has the opportunity for both situations.
But you're hopeful, correct? You're hopeful. You're going into this feeling like you want to get to the Braves, right? Jessica, why is baseball giving you something that seems like just enormous yawning that is not, it's not contagious in that room for some reason?
I love my Marlins, Dan, but it was a late night watching Sunday Night Football, and it was a big sports weekend.
Billy, are you turning your heart over to this team? Are you screaming at the television whenever they bring in Puck? Or whenever they bring in Robertson.
They brought him in like the 5th inning or something the other day, right? They brought him in really early.
Billy, they brought him in.
They clinched on a bullpen game, Dan. Can you believe that?
Their bullpen is good. This is the Stugotz. Their
depends on the day and the month.
It does. It does. This is the part I don't get, though. I really don't. I've told you this before. Puck started as their closer because he throws 97 and he's filthy. He's filthy. But every time I watch him, there's a giant home run to center field.
Stop watching then. I mean, that seems like it solves that problem.
I feel like I still see it. Even if I turn the TV off, he'd still keep up giving up giant home runs.
By the way, can we take a moment as a group here to appreciate Matt Moore and the service that he completed for the Marlins this year? Guy's not going to make the postseason. Thank you, Jessica. She's the only one that gets it. Matt Moore is not going to make the postseason roster because they acquired him too late because of shenanigans by the Guardians. We don't need to get into that today. But he's not going to be on the postseason. But he did his damnedest to make sure the Marlins got into the postseason, and then they DFA'd him to bring up Ryan Weathers yesterday, which wasn't cool. Ryan Weathers, though, huh?
Why are we bringing him back up? Why are we?
They were because I think they were bent. Yeah, he's not gonna sniff the postseason roster. Don't you worry about that one. Yesterday was basically just a survive in advance day. You know what I mean? If you win it, great. If not, you don't. Doesn't matter.
How do the Marlins match up with the Phillies for the season? Like. They played them a bunch of times,
played them
right?
well. No, they played them well.
Okay.
They have. And in a 3-game series, Stugotz, even though it's on the road, even though they're broken.
They've been on the road for a couple of weeks.
This is a formidable test, okay? But they have recently, in this state, beaten up the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Braves, swept the Braves. So get excited and hopeful because...
The state of the health and of Florida.
That is correct.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan. I want to talk to you about Miller Lite. What's your favorite place to watch a game? Is it at the stadium, at a sports bar, in your living room with your pals? I'm sure all are great, so long as you have that beautiful white can of ice-cold Miller Lite by your side. At just 96 calories a can, Miller Lite is the only light beer you'll want to celebrate the great game of football with all season long. Whether you're at that stadium, whether you're in that living room, whether you're in that bar, please just make sure Miller Lite is by your side. Crack it open. Crack it open right at kickoff. Time it out. It's amazing. 96 calories. That's right, folks. 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. Smooth taste, crisp, clean finish. You know it. You know it. I tell you every week, you get the taste you crave without the calories. This season, crack open a light beer that hits your taste buds so hard, you feel it in your heart. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
Sports!
Stugotz.
More sports!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I want to move on to other things here because the Dolphins yesterday crashed back down to earth. That's what it looks like when the quarterback gets sacked. He didn't look the same to me after the first sack when he got his face buried in the turf. And at this point, anytime he gets hit hard, I'm worried about that.
You should be.
Because they came out, such a fun game to start, right? Oh, my God, it's going to be explosive all over the place. You got a Josh Allen game of a lifetime. Like, he can do that occasionally, but he doesn't do that very often.
Since they lost to the Jets, though, Dan, Josh Allen has taken it out on the rest of the league. Like, he has. Well, he has been so good the last 3 weeks. He's been the best quarterback in football.
This offseason, I heard a lot about Vic Fangio, Lord Fangs, and a lot of people before that game yesterday, Stugotz, were sending me Josh Allen's numbers against everything Fangio related. And Fangio has no answers for that person. Like none. Zero. Now, Jalen Ramsey will help there. You do not want to be playing Diggs with your backup corner. I don't know. I mean, they said before the game they weren't going to have Xavier Howard shadow him. I don't know why they wouldn't, because Diggs had an enormous game. But their offense, while not quite as good as yours, can make a lot of giant explosive plays, and I think their defense is better. Now, you keep telling me about Fangs. 4 games for the Dolphins. This is Adam Beasley. 119 points in 4 games. 374 yards a game. All passers have a passer rating of 104.9. And other teams on third down are converting at a 46.2% clip. That's really bad defense. And it was camouflaged the first 3 games because of the excitement of the offense. But you could easily be today despondent, not just with that loss, but you're 2-2 because the Chargers did it to you too, because the Chargers can play shootout football with anybody as well. But your defense collapsed yesterday and played much worse against Josh Allen than it did twice last year when it faced Josh Allen and made him a reckless quarterback.
No Jalen Phillips, though, and the injuries along the offensive line for me are far more concerning for Miami. If their center is going to be out for an extended period of time, I don't know how they navigate that. They've shown at times this year that they could navigate Terran Armstead, and it looks like with that injury that he picked up there, they're going to have to navigate it for quite some time this season. He's up there.
Armstead, Stugotz, is very good when he plays, but
doesn't play often.
Is week to week, every single week since he's been here. When he's in, you know Tua is going to be well protected, even if he's injured. But he left on crutches yesterday, and it didn't look good. He was out for the game. And you saw Tua hit yesterday. You saw that the offense doesn't quite look the way that you expect it to look when he doesn't have time and he's getting sacked 4 times.
So it's interesting because I know Dolphin fans are concerned because it seems like everything has to go exactly right for the Dolphins to have that kind of offense and for Tua to be that kind of quarterback.
I would push back on that. They navigated injuries on that offensive line this season until they went up against a really good defensive line, which is only going to get better come the playoffs with Von Miller.
I'm not saying they are right. I'm just saying I know Dolphin fans are concerned about that. But that's the difference, Dan. When you have time, like Zach Wilson last night taking on the Chiefs, he had time. He was afforded time. If he could step into a throw, then he could deliver the football. Tua did not have the time against Buffalo, and I agree with you. I think Buffalo's defense is just slightly better. Maybe not even slightly better, but better than the Dolphins, and that's the difference.
I would simply say to you that it's really hard to win on the road. They did it in New England. Your offense is going to get slowed down some occasionally on the road. And what Mike says about Buffalo's defensive line is correct. Yet the Dolphins, on an off day, when you were spoiled by seeing them run all over the field, still scored 20 points and made it look very easy in the first quarter.
Yeah, 20 points isn't that exciting.
20 points isn't that exciting.
That's not going to win a lot of games in the
20
NFL.
points is not that exciting.
Not against Buffalo.
It is not that exciting, but 20 points beat Buffalo against the Jets. 20 points did beat Buffalo against the Jets. That game was 22-16. And all I'm saying is we were talking a lot at 3-0 about balance and about they can beat you a lot of different ways. One of the ways they can beat you is by scoring 20. It would have beaten New England in New England. And if you scored 20 yesterday and your defense gives you what you're telling me Lord Fangs gives you, occasionally hold somebody to something.
For me, the main takeaway is, okay, Miami can't just navigate all these injuries on the offensive line, especially when you take the center out of the equation. Number two, it's Buffalo. Buffalo was a takeaway. I think we were right to question what we had seen from Josh Allen recently, and we're right to worry that it might have carried over into this season. But since then, yes, he's been the best quarterback in the league. That was a brilliantly called game by Ken Dorsey. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate their own injury, because Tre'Davious White went out with an Achilles injury, and that's pretty big for them.
Well, that's the thing. None of this analysis will matter in December. We'll see who's healthy then. Billy, what were your thoughts?
The depth on that defensive line, that Von Miller, when we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, said, this is the best D-line that I've had in my entire career. And when you look at the D-lines that Von Miller has had, both in Los Angeles and Denver, that's quite a mouthful. And if he's going to be a part of that, healthy because he's taken the first quarter of the season off, they're going to be able to send waves and waves of depth at you and be able to navigate their injuries on the place that seemingly affected Miami the most, that line.
Plus, the schedule, Dan, gets really easy, like starting right now. They're home with the Giants. They're home with Carolina. They're home with the Patriots. Those are 3 of the next 4 games. They're at Philadelphia, somewhere in between.
Billy, how did you feel yesterday? You are on record. Josh Allen has a stupid face. You're always questioning the Bills from every angle. You say the Bills suck. I think you have said Josh Allen sucks. How did you experience all of yesterday?
They were very good yesterday. The Bills are very good. They were very good yesterday. Josh Allen had more touchdowns than incompletions yesterday. He had a perfect passer rating. Stephon Diggs had 3 touchdowns and was celebrating like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Stugotz, we were trying to get to the bottom of this. Wow, I'm sorry about that. We were trying to get to the bottom of this earlier on God Bless Football.
That's what happens with God Bless Football when you tape it before we come in here.
Yeah, so this is what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Where's the line on that celebration? If Stephon Diggs drinks that beer, did he cross a line, and will he hear from the league? Is it okay to just kind of pour beer all over the place, just not in your mouth? And does sponsorship of said beer come into play in this punishment?
Also in the stadium, he did that to about $47 worth of beer. I'd be furious.
Do we know the kind of beer?
No, there's beer. It was in cups. Yeah. I imagine it's a corporate-sponsored beer.
You better
always want to walk up to that line, Dan, but I'm here to push you off of it.
Oh, I'm just curious if I thought that
I know
was
it wasn't Miller Lite because no one would waste Miller Lite.
I thought that's what Billy was asking, whether that celebration, what's a step too far on that particular celebration?
I feel like if he drinks a beer, he gets in trouble, right? Like you're probably like, you cannot be drinking a beer while watching, which is crazy. Because, I mean, look at what you're watching on the field. What difference does that make?
Yesterday, Stugotz, I think everyone knows how good this Bills team is. We've been watching it for 2 years. Everything the Dolphins do is in pursuit of that team. They are the cream of the division. They have been for a few years now. I don't think anybody has a dispute there.
But momentum-wise, Dan, they were going in different directions a little bit. And that was something much needed for the league to see, for the Bills to do.
No, wait a minute. I mean, the Bills just went to Washington and dragged that Washington team.
But now we have the result in hand of what Washington did at Philadelphia, and we say that's a really good performance. But entering that game, people were right to be confused by the line just based on recent form. And this is going back into parts of last season when the Bills have that game totally stolen from them on Monday night as Josh Allen looks bad in the process. I think it was totally accurate to be like, well, this is a Dolphins division now. That was a huge performance for the Bills.
I simply don't think that after 3 games or a month, you can assume you're going to go into Kansas City or Buffalo and beat the cream of the division as if you've already swaggered past everybody with your shoulders the way Billy did with the Marlins. Like the Bills have been better than the Dolphins for almost the entire time Josh Allen has been there.
You don't know if they're going to have to go to Kansas City or Buffalo, if those teams are going to have to come here. Like, Dan, they're 3-1 with an easy portion of their schedule coming up.
Also, like last year, the Dolphins and the Bills split, and then when they went to the playoffs, the Bills beat the Dolphins by a field goal with their third-string quarterback. Like, it wasn't like they were completely dominant over the Dolphins the last 2 years.
That defensive line, if what you're going to have at any point those two teams play is their defensive line is healthy and your offensive line is not, they'll all look like that. All of them. They could play that game 10 times and all of them will look something like that because their defensive line is loaded. And with Phillips out, Miami's wasn't. Miami couldn't bother Josh Allen any.
Well, in that statement game, I think they showed you why they probably won't fade. The last time out, we saw them. They really faded in that second half of the season, but they added on top of an already fierce defensive line, and they changed up the personnel in that running back room to be able to do things that they couldn't do to salt games away. Even though when you have Josh Allen playing the way that he did yesterday, you're not going to see many examples of the improvements
Everyone's
that they made
going to lose
to that.
Game. That's the Chiefs' playoff game. Like that, everyone except Mahomes is losing to that game from Josh Allen.
We have an important update. We were told that the beer that was celebrated with was Miller Lite. So now there's character issues. Why would you waste Miller Lite?
Yeah, that's an off-field
just
concern
what
for
are we
me.
doing
Terrible
here?
job. Yeah.
Fall is just around the corner, and if you're like me, you're settling back into a busier routine. You know I like to go on vacation, so I'm going to be traveling a lot this fall to football games and events with Golic and DraftKings, and that's why I recommend Simply Safe Home Security and their revolutionary home monitoring innovation, 24/7 live guard protection. It's designed to help stop crime in real time. Now, if an intruder breaks into your home, Simply Safe professional monitoring agents can actually see, speak to, and deter them through Simply Safe's new Smart Alarm wireless indoor camera, warning them that police are on their way. The new Smart Alarm indoor camera is also the only indoor security camera that can trigger the alarm and instantly deter intruders with a built-in siren. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2023 by U.S. News & World Report. For a limited time, get 20% off your new system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Visit simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Folks, welcome to the electrifying world of AFK with Ninja, hosted by professional streamer and gamer Tyler Ninja Blevins. Join Ninja twice a week as he dives into the internet and the ever-changing realms of music, sports, comedy, gaming, and entertainment to uncover the latest projects and excitement brewing within these industries. In the interview portion of the show, Ninja will engage in insightful interviews with prominent leaders, artists, and creators, delving into their upcoming endeavors, exploring the depths of their creativity, and showcasing the remarkable talents and achievements of these esteemed guests. In the variety portion of the show, Ninja himself takes center stage. Through behind-the-scenes stories, hilarious recurring segments, and community engagement, Ninja will share his own journey, experiences, and perspectives on the trending news of the week, adding an intimate touch to the show. Tune into AFK with Ninja, wherever you get your podcasts.
Don Le Batard.
That bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Stugotz.
Walk to the ocean.
What?
Walk to the ocean.
I really have no money.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'll do the show without you.
I don't like.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
You want some Heat information because Mike Ryan.
Is it accurate?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. We didn't come down on them hard enough for that stuff that they leaked out to Shams after the fact. I had the official Heat mouthpiece saying, the offer is what the offer is. And then all of a sudden we find out about, we just found 3 first-round draft picks. How convenient.
Mike Ryan has been claiming that Pat Riley, and this is an escalation of the criticism I did not see coming. Mike Ryan this weekend claimed loudly, angrily, that Pat Riley is now eating tapioca pudding.
Put it on the poll. I think people will agree with me.
I get it, yeah.
Well, tapioca. Slow on the draw. Second consecutive offseason. Ridiculous. The Bucks and the Celtics getting better. He'd be eating tapioca if Joe Cronin didn't take it from him.
I want to talk about a couple of parts of this. The Heat would acknowledge to you that the total offer that the Blazers got is better. And there you lose a lot of different ways.
Yeah, no crap. Tyler Hero, take it or leave it, isn't as good.
No, let's backtrack for just a second because they had the value assigned on Holiday and Lillard, and we're not going to go over the value that was assigned, which leaves them open to the tapioca criticism. But they were surprised by the amount that Boston gave up to complete the Holiday trade, because you know that Kyle Lowry is proof. Guards that age and size, they deteriorate poorly at the end. That at Holiday's age, Lowry's numbers were what Holiday's numbers are, and so they were looking at Lillard, Holiday, Lowry, and there is high risk in being guard dependent later in age when your guards are old. So they had the value assigned where it was assigned. They had the Phoenix part of the deal was the same. The issue was in engaging Utah and Brooklyn, in engaging those teams, what that could put together, including picks, doesn't match what it is that Boston gave up if Boston is healthy. They were surprised by the amount Boston gave up. They value Drew Holiday more than the Heat value Drew Holiday, so you don't get him either.
Time Lord and Malcolm Brogdon, that's one working knee between the two of them. Are they going to pass that physical?
If healthy is
together.
If healthy is a big one, but if you're talking
Brogdon couldn't pass a physical a couple months ago, and I thought his knees were in better shape than Time Lord's.
And that wasn't even the injury that kept him out of the Eastern Conference Finals. But Stugotz, Ayton, Brogdon, Williams, and picks, when you look at the totality of it, that is better than what could have been swung with Utah or Brooklyn. But because the sides were not engaging, it didn't even get to that point. I understand that Mike Ryan and the Heat fan base wants to be furious and should be furious that you did not get Lillard. You had the expectation of getting Lillard. But I don't know what you want to do if there wasn't engagement from that side, period. If there was not communication, if there wasn't even the knowledge of what would you like off of Utah and Brooklyn's.
Right. Takes two to tango, though, Dan. And there wasn't engagement from Miami because, according to their official mouthpiece, they said take it or leave it, and that was their stance, and they weren't going to re-engage either. That's what they did.
There was a lot
they
of
blew
that.
it.
They did not get the two players. They do not look better today. We've got
their competition looks a lot better.
Yes,
I mean,
that part's funny.
Second straight, in fairness to them, second straight offseason, and they made it to the NBA Finals last year. Now, they could have also been eliminated in the play-in. It was like that close.
Right.
You were on a razor's edge last year. It could have been a disastrous season where we all said, look what you did. You sat idly by. Everybody lapped you. But they somehow made it through a really difficult path to the NBA Finals. I don't see a year older and everybody just that much better how they can do that again.
Can we, for just a second, though, before getting to that, because, like I said, Chris Cody and Tony are out at Heat Media Day, and we will check in with them at some point here. But, Stugotz, the part to me that is most fascinating about all of this, and I feel like in all the talk about Lillard, like this part hasn't been talked about enough. You do realize that Cronin just changed the paradigm, correct? A player like Lillard with that kind of relationship, a star of that caliber, goes where he wants. He was bluffing on all the talk. It was clear he agreed to Milwaukee. He did not have to do that. He wasn't doing what Harden and what Miami needed him to do is don't make it the agent speaking for you and saying you won't sign. You'll get to Milwaukee or anywhere else. He approved Milwaukee. So he did not want to take this to where he needed to take it, where Portland was willing to take it in taking back the power, Stugotz, because what you have to risk if you're Damian Lillard is the next step on that, your fan base eating at the trough. What do you mean you don't want to play with Giannis in Milwaukee if that helps our team? And he wasn't willing to do the things necessary to make the mess necessary.
He didn't want it bad enough.
But, I don't know if you read the Chris Haynes report over the weekend that really detailed from Damian's camp's perspective what happened. Once it became evident that Portland wasn't going to be dealing with Miami, Damian Lillard went to the Portland Trail Blazers front office and said he would like to come back to Portland, that it was legitimately Miami or Portland. And Portland said, no, we've gone too far down that road. You can't come back. And that's when the Brooklyn and Milwaukee exploration happened.
I have not gotten, though, yet to what I find interesting about that with all of this as the setup. Cronin, Stugotz, is like Eric Spoelstra, intern to power in a dream job, did it on interim, and now is responsible for the whole place. Started as an intern, and now runs the place. And in that time, the relationship gets built between the general manager and the employee in all that time. But Cronin is now in his dream job with the pressure of, you better not blow this. You've got to protect your job, not Damian Lillard's job, not Damian Lillard's feelings. Your job is the one that needs to be protected here. And in that crossroads, Stugotz, you torch your relationship with Damian Lillard. Torch it. Set it up in flames because he was trying to be careful about how he did that. He wanted to come back, and now you're running him out the door. But if those players are healthy, that's a haul. That's a haul for Damian Lillard at this stage in his career with that contract, and they did get something better than the Miami Heat had to offer.
But that's the job, Dan, to get as much as you can for a guy who wants to leave your organization.
But Stugotz, the way that job has been done, it's not just the last 12 years when the players took over, because Stugotz, everyone doing what Lillard has done, the GM hasn't done his job of making his team better. He gets what he can get because the star gets to go where he wants.
There is an important variable here that should be mentioned. Cronin's ownership situation is presently in a trust. He's got a plan for an entire career. And also, without legacy ownership there, Damian's loyalty isn't to a trust. It's to people and faces that he would see every day. It would be to an owner. We've seen owner-to-owner deals happen all the time. So an absentee ownership coupled with, if a new owner comes in, they're going to want their new person anyway. So with this deal, I'm essentially building my resume. You actually piece together exactly why Cronin went about it the way that he did, which is why I've turned my ire completely towards the Miami Heat.
The cold of the business, Stugotz, here to me was fascinating because I didn't think this could happen quietly. Cronin was willing to do the thing that Lillard wasn't. Lillard didn't want to torch the relationship with that city, and every GM is always afraid. It's the only reason Lillard had power. We were saying for 12 years here, 12 years, they're under contract. Why do they keep getting traded to wherever they want? Like, why? If they're under contract, you have the power. But Cronin was willing to do something dirty to a relationship, right? It's cold. It's just business. It's not dirty to us sitting here. That's his job. You're saying the business is cold. But before the last 12 years, I remember I was listening recently. I don't even remember who the GM was, but like whoever traded Jack Sikma and somebody else at the end, they were just saying, yeah, the guy had given so much to our organization and I had profited from it because he was a star, that I just traded him where he wanted to go because we had a relationship. I was grateful for what he did for me.
Right.
He was grateful for what I had done for him. What Cronin was willing to do here, it's what you have to be willing to do if you're going to actually take the power back from the superstar, because Lillard not only got hurt with this, not only got angry about this, Stugotz, now goes to a city with no power that he wasn't looking to live in.
Yeah, but he's playing with Giannis.
I know.
Like, if the goal is to win an NBA championship, you're on the right team.
Understood, Stugotz, and that is the goal for many. But sometimes you want to live in the place you want to live too.
Right.
For 6 months a year, and usually power of that kind gets to do that. But here it changed. And you haven't seen it in a minute. Like, this isn't Donovan Mitchell. You're talking about a relationship with a city that was at risk, and the GM was willing to torch it, and the superstar was not.
You've been seeing it recently, though, with Miami and their pursuit of Donovan Mitchell and their pursuit of Kevin Durant and their pursuit of Damian Lillard. They've said they want Miami. Miami just hasn't been able to get it done. They've been outshined sometimes by teams that got really creative that we wondered aloud, well, they don't have more assets than Miami. This is a failing by the Miami Heat, and I'm left to wonder, what now? I guess the improvements made across the Eastern Conference have really prioritized offense over defense. We're going to grit our way to another 8 seed and hope to God we get lucky again? What's the plan? It's that Jovic becomes a superstar? Where do we go from here? There's no one else. There's no one. Is it Harden? Oh my God, is it Harden?
Embiid.
Oh, no. You gotta hope. You gotta wait for Embiid.
How long?
You gotta wait for that to totally implode in Philadelphia and for him to do the things.
How long? January? I can wait till January?
Season, like, where are we gonna be at January? Honestly, we're gonna be in play-in form again. I don't know what the plan is.
No,
here.
well, you're gonna be hurt by Vincent and Strus not being here anymore.
No, you got to hope that Juan Wick and Jovic are dudes.
It's fair criticism by Mike. Like, the plan can't just be hopefully someone on another team gets upset and maybe we have a chance, which seems like that's been the plan since LeBron left.
But it's worked. It's how LeBron got here. What do you mean it hasn't worked?
But it's worked in spite of that, because that has always been the plan. We'll get the whale to push ourselves over. I'm the Godfather. I have shown time and time again I'm willing to push assets in there and make a big trade. And they've made 2 finals recently in spite of that.
That's the only reason people will say it's worked, because they've had success
but
on
everybody
Butler's already on
Mike,
borrowed
I agree
time.
with you.
Yes. No, but you guys can agree, and this is where the standard has been set, and it is fair criticism. But the standard has been set in a place, Stugotz, where, yeah, that's been the plan for 12 years, and every fan base in America and North America would take that plan if it nets you half the whales sometimes.
I'm not with that. Cleveland gets it. Cleveland has a GM. Miami and Cleveland over the last few years have been in on guys together. Cleveland gets the people. Yes. Do they have assets because LeBron depleted us from ours? Fine. Show me the baby. Phoenix pulling assets out of their asset. I don't know how they make it happen. Same goes for Brooklyn. Same goes for Philadelphia. You're now this isn't the days of 2015 where you sold the future. Miami has assets. Miami has draft capital. They're going in standoffs with other teams, and they're getting their tapioca pudding taken from them.
My point to you and everyone listening here is the plan for 12 years, and no one seemed to have a problem with it, given that an entire generation has seen the Heat take over this city in those 12 years.
Yeah.
The plan for 12 years has been go get somebody else's guy. Go get that guy to play for us.
He set the bar really high, Dan. He got the ultimate guy.
But he got 3 of them. He had
one of them already.
He had one, so he gets 2 more. And then after that, yes, they swing and miss more often than not. They do swing and miss more often than not.
Way more. We're about to read, it's media day today. We're about to read season preview columns where they say key additions, and it's Josh Richardson. Are you prepared for that?
Really?
Are you prepared for that?
No,
Are you prepared for the
Welcome
Miami
back.
Heat offseason preview recap to be key additions? Thomas Bryant and Josh Richardson, who now gets his number 0 back. I'm so mad about that.
What are we going to get from, do you guys know, is anyone in charge of what Chris Cody and Tony are doing from Heat Media Day? We've lost Lucy and Roy and Jessica. They've drifted off into a droning sleep. All of them have no interest whatsoever in anything that we're talking about here.
What are you talking about?
They'll make the conference final again.
Who's going to make the conference final again?
I have Celtics and Bucks. I mean,
You have the high of Marlins baseball they just came off of, Dan. It's understandable. Right?
Wait, who's it funnier if Miami loses to in the playoffs? The Bucks, right? It's still the Bucks, or is it
Boston.
the Celtics?
No,
via
Boston. Well, here's what.
Embrace debate.
I'd say Chicago. I'd say Chicago would be the funniest.
Do you know
That'd be funny in a sad way.
in the plan?
Do you know how crazy it is? Crazy it is.
Knicks.
That Mike Ryan's standard with this Heat team,
Bingo.
where it's gotten, is that over the weekend he's saying that Pat Riley is eating tapioca. And quiet as it's kept, this team just blew up the Celtics. You know that, right? They blew up what was the Celtics core because it couldn't get past the Miami Heat. And hey, Robert Williams, thanks for the work. Brogdon, you were supposed to be missing piece. Don't need you here. And
you know what they did in breaking up their
got
core?
better.
They got better. They added Porzingis. They added Drew Holiday, who the Miami Heat assigned a value to and is going to be the only person on that team playing defense.
Maybe if they're healthy, they got better. But this team was, Stugotz, when it was healthy, the number 1 defense in the sport with Robert Williams. And Marcus Smart was alleged. I heard a lot with the green hair. Heart and soul, defensive player of the year. And now you're telling me that Amin's calling Drew Holiday a corpse.
Those are all guys that I wanted on the court for Boston, and I'm sad to see them leave.
But Dan, Mike is
Robert
right.
Williams healthy is a different story, but Robert Williams
He's
hurt.
never healthy, Mike.
What he became after being forced to play through that injury in another series with Miami, it nuked his career to the point that he was an offensive liability at times.
But Mike is right in this regard. Like, if you go back to the Big Three, it wasn't really Riley who landed that. It was Dwayne Wade who landed LeBron James and Chris Bosh.
That's correct.
They were his best friends. Wade is as responsible as anyone. And if you're Riley, the days are over where you just say, hey, Portland, play ball. Just wait. No. Cronin saw a better deal, saw a way to improve his team. His job is not to make Damian Lillard happy in Portland for life. His job is to make the Blazers better, period.
But this where Stugotz lands on this, I believe, is why right here. This one has so many elements, Stugotz, so many elements that the NBA fan can cheer. First of all, Miami, you lose. Ha ha, everyone gets to laugh at you. Also, Damian Lillard and Giannis together. Loyalty guys. That'll be fun to watch. Perfect together. We all want to watch that. But the biggest of all of them, I think, is now Stugotz and everyone else gets to say, finally, a GM gets the power back from these clowns. Did you see what Kyrie and Kevin Durant did to the Nets? Set them back years. Finally, it takes Cronin to get in here and tell everybody, no, the player does not have the power. And furthermore, I'm going to show everyone that you were lying about the fact that you said you were going to ask for a trade if we sent you anywhere else. No, you weren't. We're sending you to a cold city, not a warm one. You're going to eat it. We're going to destroy our relationship with you. You're going to leave feeling hurt and angry. And worst of all, powerless. But you're a superstar and you're powerless.
But didn't him and his agent say they'd be fine with him going to Milwaukee? Like, we're acting like he was a hostage that was sent there against his will and he's going to be miserable there and he has no option.
Well, he had to agree to it.
Yeah, that was after he lost the power struggle because he was like, okay, I'll just come back to Portland. And that would be his latest move. I'll just be here. You'll have to see my face every day. I'll make it a lot more difficult for you. This will fester to a point that you'll want to trade me anyways come mid-season, and you'll get diminishing returns on it. They called him out on it. And then his agent had to go reach out to Brooklyn and Milwaukee because he had lost.
But to Billy's point, he landed in a good spot. Like
a good spot that he was.
I understand geographically he may have wanted to been, down here, better weather. I get all that. But he landed with Giannis on a team that just won an NBA title, on a team that's relevant every single year.
But it was his third choice.
Boo-hoo, Damian Lillard.
If you believe the reporting, and again, there are agendas to make people look good. There are agendas to pacify Heat fans with the most recent spin on assets that just got plucked out of thin air. And there's an agenda with Damian Lillard. No, I don't want the Portland people to be mad at me. My priority was Miami. My backup plan was stay in Portland. They told me I couldn't have either.
Stugotz just wrote down boo-hoo for me, and he spelled who wrong.
How do you spell it?
How did he spell it wrong?
He spelled it as who, W-H-O.
Right. I mean, technically.
Oh, it was a question.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, who am I booing here? Boo Riley.
He did put it with a question mark.
Boo Riley.
You know what? I'm actually wondering the same thing after listening to the segment. Who am I supposed to boo?
It's Pat Riley.
Who am I mad at right now?
I'm mad at Pat Riley.
Boo-hoo.
The Mets grounds crew.
Who should we boo? Boo-hoo.
Lionel Messi.
Fangs.
Yes, who should we should boo the Cubs?
Cater Kohu. I'm super mad at Cater Kohu because he couldn't defend Stephon Diggs.
I'm kind of surprised. As much as Stugotz can lack general empathy, I'm kind of surprised that he doesn't feel for somebody who thought they had a lot of power being shown in public to have no power at all. Like, I thought you would enjoy just that part. You're right. But you do. Yes, Milwaukee's a fine place for him to be from a team perspective.
I thought you were talking about Pat Riley.
It's a nice place for Damian Lillard to land as a fit, but to be in front of everyone angling for a thing and to be the first player told, hey, as excellent as you are, you couldn't traffic in your relationship, love of city, any of it. You couldn't actually pull the trigger on it. You're going to go where we want you to. You have no power, superstar.
I'm just saying, for a guy whose best player was C.J. McCollum, that was his best teammate ever in Portland. Now he's playing with Giannis. Get over it. Move on. Boo-hoo.